The story begins with a plane flying over the dense Amazon rainforest where our main character, Justin, was sitting peacefully with her friends returning home. Suddenly, an unknown force attacked their plane. The control of the aircraft was completely lost and it began to fall rapidly from the sky. Within seconds, the plane crashed straight into the dense jungle of the Amazon. A horrifying disaster unfolded. Everyone was injured and one girl was thrown out violently. As the plane descended, several people were ejected one by one. Panic and screams filled the cabin. Eventually, the plane crashed and came to a halt in the middle of the jungle. The scene was terrifying. Even the trained pilot was badly injured and thrown out, and one boy died instantly. The rest, terrified, rushed out of the plane. But their problems didn't end there. As soon as they stepped out, one person was caught in the spinning blades. In the chaos, their GPS tracker was lost, leaving them stranded deep in the jungle. Their phones were useless due to no signal, and the only person who knew the area well was now dead. But the real horror was just beginning. Suddenly, Harvey heard strange sounds coming from the jungle. Listening closely, he realized they were tribal people. He thought they might help them reach the river and get back to camp. But there was one major problem. They didn't understand their language at all. As soon as they approached, the tribes attacked them. Harvey's girlfriend was badly injured, and the rest were knocked unconscious with poisoned darts. After some time, Justin woke up. She found herself lying in a wooden boat. Tribal people were sitting around her. Panicking, she tried to free herself, but as soon as she moved, a man painted entirely in black screamed at her. He looked like a ruthless butcher from a cannibal tribe. As the boat reached the shore, more tribal people appeared. Men, women, and even children had their bodies painted red. The captured students were taken to their village. Their welcome was strange. Everyone touched them as if inspecting them. But when they saw skeletons hanging from trees and human skulls mounted on bamboo, their fear grew even deeper. Soon, an old man with a stick approached. He was the tribal chief, and his authority was absolute. He struck his stick on the ground, and instantly all the cannibals went silent. He slowly examined each student and spoke in his language, but no one understood a word. They were then locked inside a pig cage. Outside, the tribe gathered, staring at them like animals waiting to be slaughtered. One overweight boy was separated from the rest. An old woman came and forced him to drink something strange. Moments later, he was pushed onto a rock. Even though his hands were freed, several strong men held him down. The chief stepped forward and in a single brutal move, gouged out his eyes and ate them. Then he cut out his tongue and consumed it as well. A butcher-like man picked up a large knife and began cutting his limbs one by one. Within minutes, the boy was brutally chopped into pieces. His body was turned into food. The tribe prepared him like meat, carefully separating each part. His torso was coated with something like spices and roasted in a clay oven. Soon, the smell of cooked flesh spread across the village, making even the children drool. Justin and her friends were horrified. Now they were certain. They were prisoners of cannibals. Harvey remained calm and tried to find signal on his phone, but it was useless. The tribe was eating like it was a normal feast, except the food was human flesh. Although the tribe raised animals like pigs and cows, they also kept humans captive. The prisoners lived in cages, eating and surviving in the same place. At night, since there was no electricity, they lit fires and soon fell asleep. The students quietly started planning their escape. A bearded man said if they could find the GPS tracker, they could call for help. But Harvey said it was useless. The tribe was everywhere, and once they finished eating the boy, they would kill them all. Justin became furious at Harvey, blaming him for bringing them here. But they couldn't just sit and wait to die. One girl tried to escape through the top of the cage, but as soon as she stuck her head out, a guard shot her with a dart, knocking her unconscious instantly. The next morning, a small tribal boy sat near Justin, staring at the whistle around her neck. Thinking she could befriend him, Justin blew the whistle. But the sound alerted the black-painted butcher, who arrived with others. They took all the girls out and brought them to the same place where the boy was killed. They were stripped and the chief inspected them. 2 girls were sent back, but Justin was taken separately. Soon after, heavy rain began. Most of the tribe went inside their huts, leaving only a few guards. Seeing the opportunity, one girl distracted a guard using her phone ringtone, climbed out, and escaped. Being an athlete, she ran fast even on the slippery ground and reached a river, escaping by boat. After the rain stopped, Justin was brought back. She was unharmed but painted in red and white. Everyone was confused until they saw a tribal girl with her legs tied. They realized the truth. The tribe was preparing to marry Justin. She would be kept alive longer, but for horrifying reasons. Harvey said she should consider herself lucky, but hearing this only terrified her more. The bearded man told Harvey to stay quiet and reassured Justin that they would escape. At that moment, tribal members returned with food, and the night of survival was about to begin. Meanwhile, some of the tribal people brought food and sat near the cage, eating while staring at the prisoners. Their faces carried the same terrifying smiles, as if they already knew that the next victims would be these captives. Justin and her friends silently looked at each other, and in every heart there was only one question. Would they be able to escape alive? On the other side, the girl who had escaped by boat had already gone far, but the jungle seemed endless. Suddenly, her boat hit a rock, and she fell into the water. With great difficulty, she managed to reach the shore, but now she had no direction and no help. Exhausted, she sat under a tree, but at that very moment she heard faint sounds in the distance, as if someone was following her. Back in the village, night began to grow darker again. Harvey quietly gathered everyone and said that this was their chance to escape. He explained that he had noticed the guards change at a specific time during the night, and that moment would be their opportunity. Justin gathered her courage and prepared everyone. As soon as the guards were distracted, they slowly began weakening the wooden cage. After a long struggle, one piece of wood broke, then another. And finally a small opening was created. One by one they started crawling out. Their hearts were pounding loudly, and with every step they feared being seen. Silently they began running toward the jungle. But as soon as they had gone a short distance, a tribal spotted them and screamed. Within seconds, the entire village woke up. Torches were lit everywhere, and the tribe began chasing them. Now it wasn't just a run. It was a fight between life and death. Justin ran in the front while the others followed behind. The jungle was so dense that the path was barely visible, but they kept running without stopping. Suddenly, one boy tripped and fell behind. Hearing his scream, everyone hesitated, but Harvey shouted that if they stopped, they would all die. Reluctantly, they left him behind. After running for a long time, they reached a riverbank. Everyone was exhausted, breathing heavily, but the sounds behind them made it clear that the tribe was still close. At that moment, Justin spotted an old boat. Together, they pushed it into the water and quickly got in. Harvey began rowing with all his strength. The tribe reached the riverbank and started shooting arrows. One arrow struck Harvey in the arm, but he didn't stop and kept pushing the boat forward. The river current was strong, and it worked in their favor. Slowly, they drifted farther away from the tribe. After a long time, as the sun began to rise, they reached the edge of the jungle. They were tired, injured, but alive. Suddenly, they heard the sound of a helicopter in the sky. Everyone began waving their hands, shouting, signaling for help. The helicopter spotted them and started moving closer. At that moment, hope returned to their eyes. The rescue team arrived and saved them, but the fear they had experienced in that jungle still remained on their faces. Justin sat silently, staring back at the jungle, as if she knew that place was still the same, dangerous, silent, and waiting for its next prey. Even after being rescued, none of them felt truly safe. The helicopter lifted them away from the jungle, but their eyes remained fixed on the endless green below. It was as if that place had left a mark on their souls, something they could never forget. Inside the helicopter, no one spoke. The sound of the blades filled the silence, while fear and shock lingered in the air. Harvey pressed his injured arm, trying to stop the bleeding, while Justin sat still, her mind replaying everything they had just survived. Hours later, they were taken to a medical facility. Doctors rushed in, treating their wounds, checking their condition, asking questions. But none of those questions had simple answers. How could they explain what they had seen? Who would believe them? In the following days, authorities tried to gather information. Rescue teams even attempted to locate the exact crash site again, but the dense Amazon jungle made it nearly impossible. It was as if the place had swallowed every trace of what happened. Some officials suggested that the group might have imagined parts of the Gutna due to trauma. Others believed there could be unknown tribes deep in the jungle. But no official report ever confirmed the truth. Justin, however, knew exactly what she had seen. Days turned into weeks, but peace never returned to her life. Every night she woke up from nightmares. The sound of drums, the terrifying faces, the screams. It all came back again and again. She couldn't escape it. Harvey tried to act normal, but something had changed in him too. He became quiet, distant, as if he was carrying guilt. After all, it was his decision that led them into that journey. One evening, Justin finally confronted him. "Why did you bring us there?" she asked, her voice shaking. Harvey didn't respond immediately. He looked down, then slowly said, "I thought I knew the place. I thought it was safe." "But it wasn't," Justin replied. "And you knew it." There was a long silence. Harvey finally admitted that he had heard rumors about isolated tribes, but he never imagined something like this. He thought it would be an adventure, something exciting. But now that adventure had turned into a nightmare. Meanwhile, the girl who had escaped earlier by boat was also found days later, far from the original location. She was barely alive, dehydrated and weak, but she survived. However, she refused to speak about what she experienced after escaping. Whatever she went through in the jungle, she took it with her silence. As time passed, the survivors tried to move on with their lives. Some returned to their families, some left the country, and some chose to completely disappear from public life. But Justin couldn't move on. Something kept pulling her back to that memory. One day, while watching the news, she saw a brief report about a missing research team in the Amazon. The location mentioned in the report sounded disturbingly familiar. Her heart started racing. Could it be the same place? She tried to ignore it, telling herself it was just a coincidence. But deep down, she knew the truth. That jungle was still there, and whatever lived inside it was still hunting. Days later, Justin made a decision that surprised even herself. She wanted answers. She contacted Harvey again, convincing him to meet. At first he refused, but eventually he agreed. When they met, Justin showed him the news report. Harvey's face turned pale. "No, we're not going back there," he said immediately. "I'm not saying we go back," Justin replied, "but we can't ignore this. What if others are going through the same thing?" Harvey looked conflicted. Fear was written all over his face, but so was guilt. After a long pause, he finally said, "If we do anything, we do it carefully." They decided to share their story with a private investigation team, hoping someone would take it seriously. But even then, many people doubted them. Some thought it was just a survival story exaggerated by fear. But Justin didn't care anymore. She knew what she had seen. And somewhere deep in the Amazon, something was still waiting. At night, she stood by her window looking into the darkness. The city was safe, bright and alive, but her mind was somewhere else. In that jungle, in that silence,